Welcome to Derek Does. Today, we're doing these. Hi, welcome to another Derek Does. I'm Derek, and if you're new here, please subscribe, like, comment, all that stuff. If you have any questions about what I'm going to show you or other videos, put them in the comments, and I can try to answer them as best I can. And if not, there's always people that are way more knowledgeable than I am that watch this channel and will probably see your comment and be able to respond to it. Today we are doing these. These are Vasque boots. These are actually the Alpinist boot. They had a lot of different styles and that sort of thing. This is one of probably their most famous, I would say, of Vasque boots. If you're not familiar with Vasque boots, you should be, and that's what this video is all about. This boot is, you'll see there's a V on it. I'll do close-ups like I normally do with all my videos, show you all the details. These are really heavy boots. These boots are about 2 pounds, 3/4, 2.5, actually over 2.5 pounds each. So time you get socks in these, you're at 6 pounds of climbing, but you get a lot for that 6 pounds, and you kind of get what you pay for. These were always expensive as a kid, and I never actually owned a pair. This pair I actually picked up at a, you guessed it, thrift store. If I see a really nice pair, I always pick them up. And this pair, even though they're used and they look used, that is something a lot of guys want, because to get to this point in a pair of boots takes years and miles, and someone's already done the hard work for you. So I'll have this pair up on eBay. I think these are a size 9 double E, so it's a 9 wide. So if you're that, I'm an 11, so they're a little small for me. I won't be able to wear these, so I'll be selling these. So they'll, again, be up on eBay. Maybe we'll put a link below. At my normal stuff, I put stuff. I used to have a web page to sell stuff, but it never really took off, so I just put it on eBay, and it's just easier. That way I can get international guys too. Anyway, so here's the boots. The history of the boots are, they're actually a pretty new boot company. When you think about White or Red Wing or all the major players of the boot world, at least in America, and these aren't really American, but these are. We'll get to that. So there's a guy who worked with Red Wing, and he was out in Italy in 1964, and he saw this huge craze of people hiking, mountain climbing, going, just being outdoors and enjoying everything. And it really wasn't a thing in America. And he had the vision to think that, I think this might be something big. So he partnered with some Italian boot makers to make similar boots to what they make. And this is what they came up with. And it was originally called the Voyager. And then in 1965, Red Wing picked them up, and they were part of the Red Wing line. And they changed it to Vasque. As a kid, I always called it Vasque, but it's not, it's Vasque. And it's actually named after a mountain in Colorado. So it's got American name heritage, even though it doesn't sound American, it is. So they're made in Italy, and they were made in Italy, and they were huge. They took off crazy, and the hiking craze took off crazy. You have to realize this is 1965. Like, jogging hadn't existed, really. Runners, that kind of took off in the early 70s. All that sort of just physical activity type, being outdoors, was huge in the mid 60s all the way up till today, really. But this is the boot. Again, these are really heavy. They're super solid, and it's all leather. And what it is the cool thing about these boots, this is before Gore-Tex, this is before all that stuff. It's one piece of leather. And again, I'll just show you on the close-ups with a seam just down here on the back. So normally a boot would have, a toe seam, or the sides would be done. And that's areas where water and stuff can get in. But these boots didn't have that. So they're kind of, I'm not gonna say waterproof, but definitely could keep the water out way better, especially if you put some snow coat or something like that on these to protect some grease. But these are the boots. These are, again, size 9 triple E, double E. I'm an 11, so I can't put them on to show you. But you can, I'll do the close-ups again. So anyway, so get back to the story of Vasque. So they were huge, and then in the 80s, they came out with, maybe the late 70s, early 80s, they came out with kind of the fabric boots, which are kind of like we know today. And then Gore-Tex came out in probably the early 80s like that, and They were like the modern hikers that we know today, but they still made these heavy duty boots, and that's kind of what you want if you're going to be in a mountain climbing. Again, these are called the Alpinists, so they were made for the Alpine, the Alps. They were made for rocks, so like if you hit stuff with this, these are so solid you're not going to beat up your feet, and that's the whole purpose of these. And again, I'll show you close-ups. These are kind of rare because these are actually made in the USA. There was a period for maybe a year or two when Red Wing took away the boots being made in Italy, and they made them in the US for just a little bit, and then they went overseas to China. So boots from the 2000s were all kind of made, these are probably from the early 90s really. Boots from the 2000 all the way up till I think 23 or 24 when the Red Wing just said we're not going to do Vasque anymore, and the company got closed up. And I think they went to like Irish Setter, which is another Red Wing to make type of boots like this. But if you want a pair of these, you cannot go to the store and buy them anymore. You have to buy them used or new old stock. Again, this pair is used. This is what I would buy if it was me, because I would want my boots. I don't want that break-in period. You can imagine the break-in period on these things was probably pretty intense. They're very similar to, like I showed you, those World War II mountaineering boots for the U.S. Mountain Division. Very similar. These don't actually have little clips for skis and that sort of thing like they did, but it was a very similar type of boot. They didn't change that much. The soles changed, obviously, and probably some of the construction and that sort of thing, and probably comfort probably did change a lot, because I know anyone who had a pair loved them, and if you're looking for a pair, you're gonna love them. So what we'll do now is I will show you close-ups of the boots. Again, I can't put them on to show you how they look on, just because I don't think I can really squeeze into these comfortably. But I'm going to show you close-ups of at least this pair, and then you can look online. Maybe you don't want a pair this heavy. Maybe you want a lighter pair. They do make different versions, smaller, taller, everything like that. So what I'll do is let's take a look at close-ups. All right, so here are the boots. I believe these are a 6-inch top to bottom. You can still see the V here and on both ankles. Just it's kind of like a little padding area to help protect it. It's also, you know, gimmicky. You can show the V, but it's also a little pad there. You can see these are really, look how thick that is. They're really thick boots, all leather on the outside, leather lined on the inside. They have these V grommets all the way here, and then quick lace at the top here and here. These are all, it's the original pair. These are the original laces. It does have the Vibram soles. I mean, it has wear on it, obviously, but there, you know, still plenty of miles left on this pair of boots. They're really not, you know, they're not gouged. I mean, they're dirty and they're worn and they've been in water and snow and all sorts of stuff, but they're really nice. And even this top padded area is not split. It's really nice. It has little tiny pull-ups here, but that's more of just, as I was talking about, the protection. If you notice, the leather, it's one piece of leather that's wrapped all the way around, and then it's sealed back here, and then it also has a heavier duty cover on the heel to protect it, obviously from, you know, climbing and that sort of thing, because you want to make sure this is all protected. It's got the Goodyear seams on it. It's a nice pair of boots. They're really heavy, and then on the inside they've got these red laces, which are kind of, just every hiking boot would have red laces. I don't know what the significance of the red is, maybe for safety, I don't know. But you have a really thick tongue, as you can see. Look how thick that is. So it's double layer leather, but then it also has either a foam or some sort of padding. I don't know what padding they used at this time on the inside. And then the actual covers, also to keep out water and snow and debris. It's a double fold that comes over it. As you can see, that really keeps stuff out. Plus you have this, so it's altogether a pretty waterproof-ish boots. There you can see it's stamped 9. The inside's not even bad. It's just how great these boots were made. And then on this one, I'll show you. Now, all you really need to do on these boots, and I haven't done it, is do a leather treatment. And you can just use a boot oil, which would work fine. This has the Vasque made in the USA label. Normally this would say Italy, but again, this is that special in-between years when they still took it from Italy, made it in the US, and made it here. And then you can see the sizing and the model number and that sort of thing. And this boot is just as good as the other one. Has the 9 down there also. But these are the boots. If you're thinking about getting a pair, I would recommend them if this is your type of boot. I mean, if not, then I wouldn't get them at all. And keep in mind, together these are almost 6 pounds. So that's a lot of boot. If you're used to like the lightweight hikers, stick with the lightweight hikers, because you'll get used to this, but it is a heavy boot. But for me, this wear is perfect. I mean, you just can't fake this. This is real, and they just look great. They're not even like destroyed. They're just in that perfect range when they're like a denim jacket that's just perfectly worn. I think so. Anyway, there they are. Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode on the Vasque boot, particularly this Alpinist version of it. Again, if you're interested in this particular boot, check out the eBay. Check out eBay for just, if this isn't your size, for other boots like this, if you're interested in this. The cool thing about these boots, they're real boots. So you could take, if the soles are even worse than these, you could take it, if it fits you, take it to your cobbler, he'll remove the whole thing, put a brand new thing on, a new footbed, and you'll have like basically a brand new boot below, but it'll have this great look above. So that's something you could do if you want to. I've done that on 2 pairs of boots actually that turned out really well. But it's a win or lose really, because either it's great or it's not. So it's your choice. Hope you enjoyed this episode on it. Hope you learned a little bit. Feel free to check out all my other cool videos of other cool stuff, and I will see you on the next Derek Does. Thanks for watching.